welcome to 31 Days of Halloween Down the Red Rabbit Hole. I'm Gemma Rogers and I'm the author of some domestic thrillers, The Night Shift, The Good Wife, and most recently The Stranger at Number 6, which is all about frogging, so check that out. Anyway, I am here to talk about my favourite time of year. I absolutely love Halloween. I love October, I love autumn. It's the best time of the year as far as I'm concerned. And I've got a few traditions that I do. So I try and watch as many horror films as I can. Well, I mean, I love them anyway. I'm a massive horror fanatic. So I do watch them most of the time. But during October, I try and watch as many as I possibly can, one a day if I can. And I've got all my old favourites that I watch, and then I try and find some really good new ones as well. So my all-time favourite horror film has got to be the original Halloween. It's absolutely brilliant. It's creepy, it's like the original slasher movie. It's just fantastic. And obviously there's been like a billion sequels. And some of them have been fun, but for me, the original with Jamie Lee Curtis absolutely holds up. But I'm not here today to talk to you about Halloween. I'm here to give you some recommendations on horror films and books that I love. And yeah, there might be a couple there that you might not have read or heard of or watched. So hopefully it'll give you some ideas of what to do as Halloween is coming up. So the first one I'm going to recommend is, other than Halloween's, probably one of my favourites. It's called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So I don't know whether anyone has seen it. I guess some horror fans will probably have seen it, but to be fair, there's been quite a few times that I've recommended this film because I think it's an absolute little gem and it's not talked about hardly at all. So it's the one that I always recommend. I think it's on Netflix at the moment, but I'm sure you'll find it elsewhere as well. So it is about a kind of small town in America. It's the middle of the night and the sheriff has discovered, or has been called to a crime scene, and he's discovered the body of an unidentified female, and as you know, they go by the name of Jane Doe. So the actual story starts with Jane Doe being delivered to the local coroners, which is run in their house by a guy called Tommy and his son, who also works with him. So it's the middle of the night, there's a storm raging outside, the atmosphere, the setting is brilliant. So they bring in Jane Doe and they start to perform an autopsy on her. So from the outset, she looks, perfect. There's not a blemish on her. There's no immediate kind of reason why she might have died, and it's only as they start going through the autopsy that they start kind of finding out that things don't make sense. It almost seems like she's died in too many ways, or that she's been tortured, but she's completely unblemished. It's really, really strange. And all this time there's just weird things going on at the coroners. There's loads of creepy, it's just got that perfect kind of slow dread build up, things going bump in the night, the storm raging outside. It's an absolute must watch for any horror fan, so I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's one of my absolute faves. So if you kind of liked films like It Follows or Sinister, it's that kind of feel to it. Host is another one that's really, really good. If you haven't seen that, that's a pretty jumpy film. Absolutely love horror films. So there's a few that are coming up that I'm going to watch. There's Black Phone 2, and I've recently been to see The Conjuring, The Last Rites, which was fantastic. So that's my recommendation for you for October. So every October I'm a member of Audible, and I buy a Stephen King book to listen to. And this year I'm going to buy The Stand because I've never read that one. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's about 47 hours long. He is an absolute master of horror, and I love going back to his older stuff. I've listened to Pet Sematary, Salem's Lot, Misery, It. So I'm kind of going through his older catalogue. But I did want to recommend a book that I read recently that I really enjoyed, and this one is called Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. So this is kind of a romantic cabin getaway. A couple go to a beautiful cabin in the woods. Everything starts out absolutely fine, and some creepiness kind of starts happening, and they kind of almost hear voices coming from the woods. They're being called, but the weird stuff starts happening when, in the middle of the night, the girl who is there, she starts kind of whispering back to these voices. So it's kind of like Stolen Tongues is like her tongue's being stolen, and she's talking through somebody else, and she starts changing. And it's got that kind of slow dread, kind of eerie build up to it. Absolutely brilliant. A couple of others to recommend. The Exorcist's House by Nick Roberts is fantastic. Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill is another really good one to read in October. Hidden Pictures is another brilliant one I read recently. And horror is really hard, I think, to write. It's a genre that I'd love to be able to write something in, but I don't think I'd be able to do it. You need a real kind of skill of building that atmosphere, building that dread, and it's for people to genuinely kind of feel a little bit scared. And that's what you want. That's what I want during Halloween. I want to be terrified. So for me, I think when I want to be really scared, I always watch like zombie apocalypse movies. Zombies for me just freak me out. They run so fast. They're the ones that frighten me. The World War Z zombies, the 28 Days Later zombies. I definitely don't think I would survive or come anywhere close to surviving a zombie apocalypse. I think if I did, I would probably go and hide in my loft. I'd probably starve to death, or I'd probably die of a heart attack beforehand, to be honest, because I'd be absolutely terrified. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing in October. I'm going to be under a blanket with my hot chocolate, watching as many horror films as I possibly can, and I'm going to have an audio book on the go, a Kindle book on the go, and they're all going to be kind of horror themed. So I'm here for it. I'm living my best life, and I'm going to go to watch as many horror movies as I can at the cinema as well. So I really hope that you have a fantastic Halloween, and that you get to see as many horror movies and read as many horror books as you can. And if it's a genre that you haven't tried because you've been hooked on crime and thrillers, then definitely give it a go, because you never know, you might be a secret horror fan like me. So that's kind of all I have time for today on 31 Days of Halloween down the Red Rabbit Hole. I got stuck here last time, but I managed to get out. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to get out safely this time. But thank you ever so much for joining me. Make sure that you subscribe to the Red Rabbit Hole podcast. It's free. And support NV Peacock and Lisa Shepherd, do an amazing job. And listen to all of their episodes. And follow them on social media as well. I'll leave a little link for some of my books in case you want to give them a go. I write domestic thrillers. And thanks ever so much for joining me. Have a happy Halloween. See you later.